Hello, welcome back to the Spider's Web, and what can we see in front of us but the freshly undercoated figures from the Curse of Undeath faction pack of the Dungeon Command set. And this is done because Andy from MadLadDesigns decided that he would like to see these. So here we are. What do we have? Well, this one is a Skeleton Tomb Guardian. We have two warrior skeletons with the shields. We have a Skeletal Lancer with a very bent lance. I don't know why, but I just cannot get that to straighten up. I've done all sorts with it and nothing's working. We have a Gravehound, like a zombie dog. We have two zombies. We have a vampire stalker in this case. We have a disciple of Kyos, I think that's how it's pronounced. I may be wrong, I don't know. We have a leech necromancer. We have a Drakenhof. Now, regarding this one, on the unboxing video I did for this game, he actually said he had no bottom jaw. Well, he's got his mouth closed. They're not jaws, they're sort of like spines underneath his bottom jaw. So he does actually have a mouth and bottom jaw. He just happens to have his mouth closed. So slightly wrong on that respect, but never mind. Now, the one we're going to start off with is this. It's a Hypnotic Spirit. Have we seen these before? I believe so. We saw 1, 2, 3 of them in Wrath of Earthshade. No, we didn't. We saw it in Legend of Drist. So I've already got some of these, but the more the merrier. We have 4 now. And I'm going to be painting this one near enough exactly the same way as I painted these 3. So let's get on with it, shall we? Now, you may have seen at the beginning of the video that I showed bit of a photo montage of all of these with the original colour scheme. They aren't going to look like that for much longer. Okay, so I've got my paints ready. I'm only going to be using 3 for this. We're going to be starting off with Rotting Flesh. I'm going to get a base coat all over with that. And then what I did for these others is, after the coating of Rotting Flesh, what I did was put a wash over it. So I did a, I'm trying to work out in the middle, I think that was a black wash, like a brown, a yellowish wash, and I think that was a dark blue wash. And with this one I'm going to give it a kind of verdigris wash. If you watch the final painting video of the Heart of Cormia series, I did the Copper Dragon, and I did use the Sotek Green to put the verdigris effect on the wings. I'm going to do exactly the same thing with this, and then it's going to be a dry brush over in White Scar, and that is it. pure and simple, very, very easy. So let's get cracking, shall we? There is nothing at all difficult about this one. This is how I'm doing it anyway. It's not necessarily how it should be done, or how many people would like to see it done. It's just how I did the others, so this is how I'm doing this one. I'd actually try doing this first of all with rotting flesh as a dry brush over the white, but it didn't seem to. Sorry, no I didn't. What I did was I put this on first as a base coat like this, and then I just went straight over with the white, and it didn't work very well. So that was when I put a wash on and then dry brushed over again with white. And it seemed to look a lot better. As I said, this is one of the easiest ones we're going to be doing because there's nothing much to it. Just a case of get the colour on, give it a wash, dry brush it, that's it, end of story. I'm not going to be showing you how to base these because I've already done that in the Heart of Cormier. That was the very final video in the series. So if you want to see how I base them, then just watch that video. I'll put a link to that in the comments below. But I will put it down there, and I'll also put a link in on the video about now. Okay, so that's the base coat done. That's all the rotting flesh we're going to do. So that is that. What we'll do while we're waiting is I will show you how I do the skeletons, and for that I will pick up the Skeleton Tomb Guardian. For the skeletons we use the Agrax Earthshade, and we just give it a wash. Make sure you get into every crease, every little nook and cranny, and we do this with all the skeletons when we come down to doing it. So this is so difficult, this you really have to concentrate on what you're doing. You know, there's no margin for error at all. You've got to make sure that the ink wash goes in every part of the model exactly where you want it to go. If you don't, you're going to completely ruin it and it's going to be totally useless. You can't beat sarcasm, can you? This is just a case of slap the wash on and the skeleton is more or less done, apart from a spot of highlight later. That's it for the skeleton. There you go. Ta-da! Okay, so is our still a little tacky, so not to worry, it's not vitally important. I think while we're still waiting for that, we'll get the Skeletal Lancer out and we'll do the same again. So we're just doing skeletons just because it's just a wash we give them. We're not going into any more detail other than that. And we do the horse as well, because let's face it, that too is a skeleton. There is nothing easier than doing painting skeletons, because you could actually turn around and say once you put the wash on, now it's finished. I mean, I go a little bit further than that, but not much further. I prefer to add a touch of highlight here and there, because I think it looks a little bit too, still looks a little bit too flat without it. But there we go. It's just now ready for highlighting. Or it won't be when I've done the final bits. Don't forget the tailbone. I can do the shield as well, because that's wood. Just to pick out the grain texture in that. And there we have it. There's another skeleton done. You can see I've not done every little bit, because quite a bit of it is going to be not bone, but there we have it. So that feels much better now, so let's get on with it. So we have our wash made up and we apply it I think I've missed a stage out. I think after the rotting flesh I put a slight dry brush over with bleached bone, or as is now screaming skull, but never mind, we can have a slightly different look to it. So all we're doing with this is just trying to get into all the crevices again. There we go. There's our wash done. And when we come back to this, it will be time for the dry brush with the white. There we are. It's going to look a little strange. This is what we've got so far. Let's get cracking on doing some more. Let's grab my brush, and we need this time the whites, and it's just pure and simple dry brush. The idea is just to pick out on the highlights, pick out on the raised areas. We don't need to get it all in one go because we're going to be coming back and adding more white a bit later when it's dried, just to make everything stand out that little bit more. But for now, I want to make sure that all the raised areas are hit with white. Show a difference. I've got a nice glowing one here rather than the darkish ones that we've already got. Don't have to do them all the same, obviously. Mind you, I'm saying you don't have to do them all the same. It all depends as to whether or not you've got all three models, all three of the figures like I have. So that is all I'm going to do for the Hypnotic Spirit. When this white is dried, I may go over it again and just see how it looks, but I'm quite happy with how that is now. So that's one down, and I shall show you how to highlight the skeletons now. This is very simple. It's basically the same dry brushing technique I use, nothing special, but the difference is we basically just work in a downwards movement. Just like so. And all we're trying to do is just pick out the areas that we think are going to be hit by the light. Best way to work this out, to try to imagine where the light source is coming from. I'm imagining it coming straight down like so. So you would see it's been a lot brighter in some areas than others. His back is going to be incredibly bright because the light is going to be coming down straight onto his back. His front's not so much because he's bent over. Which is why I've done a little bit on the front, but not much. It's just to add the colour. Now I'm doing this to tie it all in. It's going to look a lot brighter at the back than it will at the front, because in a second I'm going to give it one more going over in the Agrax Earthshade at the front. And now let's do our Skeletal Lancer. Same again. Anything that we think is going to be hit from directly above, that's the parts that we go over with this. There we are. And that is 2 of the skeletons done. So we have 2 skeleton warriors to do, as well as a couple of other things, but there we have it. So the next step for these skeletons would be the weaponry, the metal items. But first, before we do any of that, I'm going to use Mechrite Red on the shaft of the lance. So just go over it with the red. I think it's a lovely shade of red for doing things like this with. It is quite often for spears and bows, things like that. And just a last little bit at the back. There we are. Almost done.